Hey guys, and welcome back to Purely Walking. It's me, Ellie, again, and today I have a follow-up video on one that I did that was pretty popular about people that went from riches all the way to rags and people that just made millions of bucks and suddenly lost them and how they're living now in poverty and whatnot. And today I'm making the reverse of that video because we are going to talk about two cases of people that went from rags to riches here in the Dominican Republic. And this goes a little bit with a theme that I've been talking about recently on some videos about opportunity here in the country. These are just two ordinary people that have a really low beginning economically. I mean, they were down to the level of being shoe shiners on the street, selling gadgets and different things, selling newspapers when they were kids. So I'm going to be highlighting their lives and how exactly they got from a place of literally shoe shining in the street for tips to making millions of bucks here in the DR. So if you're interested in these two awesome success stories, keep on watching. The first man we're going to talk about, his name is not very well known, but I'm pretty sure that even if you are a tourist and you came once or twice to Santo Domingo, you have probably heard of his business or probably even been there. His name is Luis Marino Lopez, and he is the founder of Adrian Tropical Restaurants, which are pretty famous here in the Dominican Republic because they serve delicious Dominican style food. And there's one particular establishment of Adrian Tropical that is located right on the sea, and it is very popular among tourists that come to Santo Domingo. Comment below if you've ever heard of Adrian Tropical, or if you are a tourist that have come to the Dominican Republic before, if you actually eaten there. I want to know in the comments. Luis Marino Lopez was born in 1960 in San Francisco de Macorís. That's my region. That's where I was born as well. He was the eldest out of 9 children. His mother wasn't really in the picture, so to say, in his infancy. Later on, when he was growing up, maybe in his adolescent years, his mother did come back into his life. But it's something that he doesn't really give a lot of detail about. Because his family came from a poor beginning and obviously his mother was not around, Luis Marino had to do all kinds of work in the street to help out his dad take care of the household economically. He worked as a shoe shiner on the street, you know, those kids that clean shoes for tips or for money. He worked as a newspaper boy. He worked selling ice cream. He worked as a helper in a wood shop. He held all kinds of little odds and end type of jobs as he was growing up.
Que desde muy chico estoy haciendo labores productivas. Primero en la casa y luego en la calle, que estoy desde los 8 años vendiendo helado, limpiando zapatos, vendiendo periódicos.
When it came to study in university, he was actually able to get into college and study accounting. When he graduated from accounting, he actually got into the business of selling replacements for machines. So he was actually employed for a company that did that, and he started scaling up in that company to the point where he was actually sent over to Japan to learn more about the replacement business. In the research that I found, I couldn't tell what type of replacements he was actually selling or that he was involved in. The point is that he got into this business, went to Japan, and when he came back, he was already thinking of settling down. You know, now that he's traveled and seen a little bit of the world, his mind was a little bit more open. So he wanted to just now settle down, basically get married, have a family, and things like that. But as a very responsible man and somebody that knows what hard work means from a very young age, the first thing he thought about when he was going to start a family and possibly have a wife is, how am I going to get money for my family? And the first thing that occurred to him was, well, hey, people love street food. So in 1987, he opened a little sandwich and burger truck in a street corner in Santo Domingo. So in 1987, he actually opened up his first little food truck business to sell sandwiches and chimichurris and hamburgers something that your average worker around there can come eat at their lunch hour or even after work. In 1997, his business was booming, so he decided to start something even bigger. He opened in that year Adrián Tropical, the first one, in 27 de febrero. The Adrián Tropical concept was, just as his name would suggest, somewhere where Dominicans can get tropical, delicious Dominican-style food with an elevated restaurant-style feature. And the restaurant itself had a concept of decor that was elusive to Dominican campo life, things that Dominicans are very well accustomed to, and you just feel very relaxing in that space with a tropical vibe. Luis Marino Lopez had a hit with Adrián Tropical, so much so that he later opened 3 more restaurants of that brand. One of them is the one that I mentioned before on Avenida George Washington, right on the beach. That particular restaurant has a really cool decor that is obviously beachy and very tropical, something that tourists will immediately love. And with the success of Adrián Tropical brand restaurants, Luis Marino Lopez was not done. He actually went on to acquire other restaurants and other businesses, so he basically has an entire portfolio of businesses, and all of his businesses are now under Comunidad Integral LM, which is a business group where all his enterprises lie under. Another interesting tidbit is that Luis Marino actually has 3 main businesses. One obviously is Adrián Tropical, named after one of his children. The other one is a laundry business called Oscar Lavanderia, named after Oscar, another one of his children. And the other one is Arturo Trading, named after one of his other sons, Arturo. And that one is for consumer products. They actually sell and supply other businesses with different consumption products. Unfortunately, in 2018, one of the sons that inspired the restaurant, Adrián, actually died in a horrible car accident in La Avenida Anacaona. But even through the pain and the hardship that this has caused him and his family, he keeps on working and setting an example for other youth. He is grateful for the time that he had with his son, and he hopes that his entire family's legacy of hard work and entrepreneurship will continue to inspire others around the country and around the world. And I left the most well-known figure for last, and if you are Dominican, or even if you have Dominican parents, you will probably know the name of the person that I'm going to talk about. His name is Rafael Corporán de los Santos, aka just Corporán. He is the super uber famous TV host, philanthropist, and a radio show personality during the 80s and the 90s and even beyond. Rafael Corporán was born in 1937, and he was born to a pretty poor family. So poor that him and his brothers and sisters had to work from a very young age. Corporán actually had to work also as a shoe shiner. Also, like Luis Marino Lopez, sold newspaper on the street and a lot of other little odd jobs here and there just to help support his family economically. This fact that he came from humble and poor beginnings is very important because later on you will see how that actually affected the way he became an entrepreneur later. In the decade of the 50s, he even worked in a guagua anunciadora, which are these little vans that all Dominicans know that go around with a little speaker and a man talking that he's selling or buying used things. In the 1960s, Corporán started locution in order to become a radio host, and he did so well on radio. He started in different segments and different programs. In 1975, he actually acquired his own radio station, and that gave him even more popularity among the masses. He had a news cycle, he had interviews, he had a whole bunch of different things, and he became the darling of the radio. But his popularity did not peak there. Oh no. He became a boom in 1988 when he began his Saturday weekly show, Sábado de Corporán, which initially ran for, wait for it, 8 full hours non-stop. was a Saturday variety show. And since most Dominicans are home on Saturday mornings, they click on the TV and all they would see is Sábado de Corporán.
¿La sí, la miro. ¿Seguro? Sí. Ay, mamacita.
Es otro palo del programa que no para de dar cuartos, muchos cuartos.
Debe salir fuera del canal con una persona que pase por ahí. Donde tiene los pies por la cabeza. Cógelo si puede. Cógelo si puede. Ay, 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 no le puede.
This program, I'm telling you, is a Dominican staple for TV. There is no Dominican that I have heard of that has not heard of Sábado de Corporán.
Dominicana, para todo el mundo, a través de la cadena sur, llegamos a norte, sur, Centroamérica, llegamos al Canadá y a Chuamiambu, Chuapingua, al Japón. ¡Ay!
In 1990, his fame became even bigger because what was once a segment in Sábado de Corporán, which is Sábado Chiquito, became a show all on its own, geared towards the younger audience. So they had a juvenile show where they had kids news, information, different dances, and musical presentations, apart from Sábado de Corporán, which was a variety show geared to the public in general. And when I tell you that Sábado de Corporán and Sábado Chiquito de Corporán were full-on staples in the Dominican household, I am not kidding. I myself danced to Sábado Chiquito de Corporán in my time.
Sábado chiquito, de Corporán.
Oh yeah, I did that. Also, Sábado de Corporán became a really nice platform for artists that were beginning their careers to become famous here in the country. So it featured famous artists like Al Hadaki, Toque Profundo, and other Dominican artists began their careers in Sábado de Corporán show. Of course, he had La Hora Estelar within the program, where he featured not only national artists, but international famous artists. People like Chayanne, Gloria Trevi, Fernando Villalona all went on Sábado de Corporán, of course. And what I referenced before about his humble beginnings became really important because the philanthropy aspect of his program was very much a seal and a brand for his show. Sábado de Corporán dedicated a whole lot of time on the hours that they were on air to host giveaways to people in need, giving away money and cash, huge prizes like stoves and refrigerators, or things that were for regular use inside the home.
Vamos a hacer una cosa con esta señora. Mire, ese barril está lleno de dinero que lo da el Banco Popular. Yo lo voy a cerrar, lo voy a poner en la camioneta y se lo voy a subir en la camioneta y ese barril es suyo. Dame el candado.
And due to his great fame and the fact that he was very well liked, it was no surprise when in 1990 he became mayor of El Distrito Nacional from 1990 to 1994. And obviously his time as mayor, he focused on the poor people and how he can help out the people in need around his community. So Corporán went from being a shoe shiner and a street vendor all the way to being a mayor of the city. So his success was not only in radio and TV, but the fact that he left a legacy. He helped out so many people during his career. And his TV show, Sábado Chiquito and Sábado de Corporán, actually were on air for more than 20 years. Unfortunately, Rafael Corporán had a heart attack on March of 2012, where he passed away, but obviously his legacy lives on in the hearts and in the minds of all of us who saw his show and the people that he was able to help out during his time. Alright guys, so those were two very important success stories here in the Dominican Republic of people that came from rags to riches and the way that their hard work earned them a spot in popularity and in business life here in the DR. And I hope that these two examples leave you with a positive outlook and a hopeful outlook for the rest of your day. So comment below all your thoughts. Comment also what other people you would add to this list. Guys, this is me signing out, and I hope to see you in my next week's video. Bye guys.